And he can zoom in and everything. Welcome to PLZ Soccer's Euro 2020 special. This is the Football Show. I'm Peter Martin. Alan Ruff and Gabriel Antoniazzi are here with me, reflecting on yesterday's day of misery. It's the only way I can sum it up. It's the hope that kills you. And I know there'll be so many of you wanting to post a message about how the team played, who should stay, who should go. Roughie, it was agony.
It was agony. Yesterday we left here with high hopes. We were all positive. We thought the team was on a decent run. The players that were being selected looked as if they were up for whatever was coming our way, but it never materialised. When I left here, I thought Adams was playing up front with Dykes. You know, obviously the team selection got changed a wee bit here and there, but I thought, in analysing it after it, I'd like to think the manager will sit back and say, not possibly got it really, really wrong, but has opened his eyes to which players he plays in the next game. Yeah,
Gabriel, you were inside the stadium. I mean, from an outside part, we were looking and thinking how to kill a nation, you know, in one result. But what was it like inside?
I'll tell you, before kick-off it was fantastic. And you can tell by my voice I was singing Yes Sir I Can Boogie a bit too much, but it was almost like a carnival atmosphere. You know, we've not seen that in 18 months. It was really good inside. 10,000 people, I think the official attendance was, but it looked more than just a quarter full. Great atmosphere, everyone behind the boys, and they started quite well. I think the first 5 minutes they pressed high, pushed the Czechs into a few mistakes, but it just went from there. You know, we really missed Tierney in that back line. That wasn't on Steve Clark, but there were a few other decisions. We've spoken about them. Perhaps the decision to not play McGregor or Gilmore in there. There was no one really picking the ball up off the defence. I think he could have made a few more changes at half-time. He went for Adams, and he made a difference. But it was flat at half-time after that goal from Schick. Good header. It picked up again at the start of the second half. Scotland played again well for the first 5 minutes, and then the boy Schick scoring that second one. It killed the game, it killed the country. He'll never be allowed back in this country again, Patrick Schick. He destroyed us, didn't he?
Yeah, well, I mean, Roughie, you talk us through it. I mean, before we actually get to you, talk us through it as a goalkeeper, Roughie, I've just got to mention so many people who have joined us. Niall, Darren Fields, who's in America. Darren, thanks for joining us. Alec Kelly, Kathy Cunningham, Nikki Twig, great to have you, Nikki, with us. Dan O'Neill, Fiona Docherty, who says, well, hi lads, disappointing start, but we could get a win on Friday against England. We'll discuss that in a minute. Darren Knox says Patterson and Gilmore should have played. Thomas McDougall says it was the Kilmarnock way again. Hi to Andrew who's out there in Toronto. So many people. John Doherty who's in Cornwall as well. Thanks to countless people who've obviously posted messages on the performance. I'll try and read out as many as I possibly can, but Roughie, I must admit, it was a wonder goal. Would you give me your critique on Marshall first of all?
I think if you got on myself, he'd be honest enough to hold his hands up and say he was out too far. I mean, I know you. I used to play like that as well. I'd be running about the D. I would never ever be that far up. I'd love to know his thinking. Because he just set himself up, you know. Nowadays with the technology and people analysing games, if that's what he does, you know, in club football, somebody would have picked that up. That'd have been discussed, you know, in the dress. They do have things like that, Peter. They do analyse every player individually, weaknesses, strengths. What does he do? What does he do? I'm sure somebody has noticed. I've never noticed him being pushed up that much.
No, but Roughie, Patrick Schick said after the game, Gabriel, that he actually was thinking about it in the first half.
Yeah, perfect English. He said, yeah, I noticed him off his line and I thought if I get the chance in the second half, I'll lift it over him. And that's exactly what he did. And you're right, Roughie, they obviously studied it, but I didn't think that Marshall was the kind of sweeper keeper, the Neuer-style goalkeeper that stands in there. We don't usually see him do that too much. Obviously, we don't watch him week in, week out because he plays in the Championship down south, but we were just all stunned, and I was right behind the strike itself. So we just saw it, and it was like a laser. We were like, oh no, it's in, and then you just saw Marshall in his net.
It's the net one, isn't it?
Oh,
It's like, don't get caught in the net.
He was caught in the net. And
That's good.
the worst.
Goalkeepers' things live for you for the rest of your life. That photograph of him in the net will something he'll have to live with for the rest of his life.
It takes away from Roughie when Zico curls the ball, and this is Roughie.
Yeah,
That's a belter.
getting caught in the net's the worst ever. That's a shocker. I've never seen all the posts,
Have you seen
the
them,
fisherman posts, the fishing getting hauled in.
The Spider-Man one as well. It looks like
But
Spider-Man.
it wasn't until I saw it for behind the goals. He was so far up.
I know.
I mean, so just say the thing I thought. Just say for talking sake, Henry's shot had went to the goalkeeper, and the goalkeeper had caught it. He would have had a free kick.
Yeah.
If he noticed him at his goal as well.
I'd love to hear David Marshall's comments on it, because I honestly, I don't know how you feel about it yourself, guys and girls out there who are watching that game. I mean, I'd love to have seen the crowd at the minute he hits it, and they're just going. But it was, listen, there are two elements to it. One, why was he there? He's at fault. But the second element to it, which I think from any professional footballer's point of view, you still have to execute it. And I thought that, the panel last night made a good point about it. 9 times out of 10, people without that technical ability might have missed it. Patrick Schick, it was a brilliant finish to it. And to be fair, John Donald's just said there, scunnered, which kind of sums up the whole nation. I honestly cannot believe, from one game and everybody's eagerness, they were excited, anticipation, the feeling that we really could beat the Czech Republic, to last night. I've never witnessed so many people in a country so flat. Scunnered is a brilliant way to sum it up. Andrew Davison says he definitely started with the wrong 11, in my opinion. Alison Carroll says it was a terrible game. She thought Callum McGregor should have been playing in the first half of the game. A lot of doom and gloom about, but we played well. We just need to take our chances. It's not over yet, says Callum Reynolds. I have to be honest with you, one of the guys on social media last night slaughtered me, because I hate to be, it's not so much doom and gloom, it's realism, Roughie. For me, without putting a dampener on it for anybody else who's going to post messages, we're gone. We're not going to beat England at Wembley. We are certainly coming up against a better side in Croatia than what we faced against the Czech Republic. And a lot of people were saying, we've got to be optimistic. You've got to be realistic about things, Roughie.
Yeah, I think before the game, we all said, we never said this is a must-win game. We said this is don't get beat. Because even if you get a point, you're still in it with the games to come.
Yeah.
So we failed. That was a home game for us, and I don't think we set our stall out to be the home team. I don't think we did enough. We saw the difference when we Forest come on. I don't think we got forward enough in certain positions. We relied on Robertson, who in the first half was getting forward and putting balls in. But these guys aren't any mugs. They have noticed that the only problem was getting caused was Robertson.
Yeah.
So in the second half, you come out, what happens to Robertson? Nothing.
Yeah.
Because what they do is they sort it out at half time and say, everything's coming down that side, let's just stop it. And that was it.
Yeah, let's hear from Steve Clark, what he had to say about David Marshall and how he's feeling.
David's fine. Experienced player, knows the game. Probably faced that type of shot. I think he said something about 50 times in his career, and that's the only time it's gone in. It happens. It happens. I don't understand the criticism of David. It was a shot for Jack Henry at the edge of the box. 3 seconds later, the ball's in the back of our net. The block shot could go anywhere. It felt perfect for him to run on it and hit. It's one of these things.
If Steve Clark doesn't understand the criticism of David Marshall, he's got a few tough days ahead of him, by the way, because Gabriel, as a nation, what we're like. England is the worst possible game where you could lose, because then it just intensifies the criticism.
I know. He's just protecting his players, which you'd expect the manager to do. But I think, as you say, Marshall deep down will know that he was far too far off his line, and he's been caught out there. The England game, you say you're being a bit doom and gloom. It would have to be 2 of Scotland's greatest ever results to get out of this group. They have to get a point at Wembley, a home game essentially for England, and then beat Croatia, who are World Cup finalists. We know they're not exactly the same side. There's still Luka Modric in there, and yesterday we couldn't string any passes in the midfield. How are we going to overrun Brozovic and Modric in the middle of the park?
Peter's made the point that we played the lesser of the teams in the group.
Yeah.
They are the lesser of the two teams. We played them enough. I said that yesterday. I thought we never got a true reflection in their team because of COVID. You know, there was 3 or 4 big players never played in certain of these games. Yeah, we beat them 1-0, and right, you should be confident. But they were a different side yesterday. But for me, you know, if you're going to get 3 points, that was the 3 points.
Yeah, listen, I thought they were beatable.
They were not great shakes at all. I thought that they weren't head and shoulders above us. I think both of the teams, you know, cancelled each other out. I think we're of equal ability, but we spoke about it again yesterday. Big teams with big strikers win games.
Yeah, but I don't know about you, Gabriel. I mean, there are a lot of people here talking about this guy should have played, that guy should have played. Hindsight is a wonderful thing, but I thought he picked the wrong team. And okay, Tierney was a huge loss, but for me, there was a couple of things that I would like to have seen in that side from the start as a sign of intent. One of them was that I thought Forrest should have played. You know, now, okay, he's going to stick with O'Donnell. We'll take that in the chin. But I thought he should have started with Adams up front, with Dykes, because quite simply, they were there to be taken. They were there to be beaten. And if we play 2 strikers up, we occupy them early on and show them exactly that we mean business. But I thought he got that part of it wrong, Roughie. Just to play Christie off him, whether they merged well before, 2 good strikers or 2 half-decent strikers to occupy their back line would have changed their mindset.
Yeah, and if Robertson's going to get into that dangerous area and put fantastic balls in, you get a better chance with 2 strikers attacking the ball than you have with 1.
Yeah.
And what we started to do, we started to resort and just lumping it. Now, lumping it for me is okay if Dykes is winning the headers, but if Dykes, he won 2 or 3, didn't win them all. But if he's winning headers, who's he winning them to?
Yeah,
They're just going to be one of their players, and they're just picking it up, and then off they go again.
Because Christie does have a tendency to drop off the striker.
And Christie can score from 25 yards, and he did that in the Serbia game, and I think he was too loyal to the likes of Christie and O'Donnell. They're both good players, and you could see why he picked them. They had justified their selection with their previous performances, but this was the game we needed to win, and I felt that Forrest was the call at right wing back, and that it should have been Adams ahead of Christie. He rectified one of them at half time. I would have done Forrest at half time as well, but then I think because he was a bit more conservative with those two, he's overcompensated it by putting Armstrong, who's more attacking than McGregor, in, and it just ruined the balance of the midfield. Because
in these games, high-profile games, you need somebody in the middle who's going to take charge.
Yeah.
I mean, we keep going back to Wee Barry. When Wee Barry played for Scotland, he controlled the game.
Yeah.
He says, give me the ball. Give me it. I'll take it in a tight position. I'll take it. I'll bring people into the game. We didn't have anybody like that at all. That's why the back three were getting the ball and looking for somebody in midfield to take it. Oh, nobody wants it. Lump it.
Yeah. Listen up, we'll look at the preferred team. I've picked 11 that I would like to see play on Friday. I'll get to that in a minute. I'll try and read out quite a lot of them. Here's a thought. Czechs and Scotland can still be the 2 teams who can go through out of the group. Anything can happen in football. That's Frankie Harley. Frankie, I'm not going to disagree with you. Anything can happen. Do I think it will happen? No. I think the general consensus is that if the third place team is going to go through, they have to have a 0 goal difference. That's the general feeling about that group.
Yeah, well, you could
or
go
the groups.
Yeah, you could go. 4 points is a pretty much guaranteed through in third place. So it would be a point and a win against Croatia. But you can go through on 3 as well. But it's the 2-0 that's harsh. It wasn't 1-0 or 2-1. 2-0, and then if you lose to England as well, that's at least -3 goal difference. And then we go into the Croatia game. Are we going to beat Croatia 3-0? I could perhaps even see that happen. That maybe Croatia are already out as well, and we do beat them, but we don't go through as one of the best third-place teams.
Yeah, I think we could beat Croatia 3-0 if I had 3 Southern Comforts and then maybe 2 lagers, Roughie. You know, I mean, I need about in my box to actually suggest it.
I hate keep bringing it up, but I agree with there that I have been to Wembley and won twice.
I was going to say it every day.
I know.
Against the odds.
No, but with all due respect, calm your jets. We'd better technical players and somebody that could take the ball in and somebody that could mix it like Souness, for example. But we don't have King Kenny either. I have to say, I'm looking at England, Croatia, didn't look like anything much to worry about. Well, I beg to differ, Frankie. because Clark likes to stick with his favourites and the good players are benched until it's too late, then he puts them on as subs. It wasn't good enough, says Ronnie Porter. And Forrest has hardly played since the turn of the year. Patterson is a far better option to run the line, says Alec Kelly. Well, listen, Alec, I mean, I know there is a clamour to put Nathan Patterson in. Whether he does that or not, I don't know. I'll offer you my tuppence worth on the basis that I think he's a young guy, Roughie, who's had 7 or 8 games, and I don't think the England game is a game to throw a young man like that in. It could have a catastrophic effect on him, because if there's a jump to first team football and then there's a jump to international football, that's a big, big call.
It is, and I think games under his belt with Rangers have been limited. You know, everybody who talks about him, I think, so highly rating him. They rate him so highly. And if they're all telling the truth and they all are bang on right, I would give him a shout. I'm at the stage now, I've heard so many people talking about Gilmour.
You'd
Gilmour
play him?
this, Gilmour... No, I'm going to Gilmour first.
Yeah.
Gilmour this, Gilmour that, Gilmour that. Gilmour's as good as what everybody's saying, he's got to play.
Yeah, I thought you were on about Patterson there.
No, well, it depends what kind of formation you're going to play. I want to play Forrest. I think you've got the weakness in the England team, if you ask everybody in England, is their back three. That's the weakness in their team. If you can get to them, and I think somebody like Forrest has got the ability, as he showed when he came on, dinking inside, centre-halves diving in here and there. I think he's got to come up with... I don't know what kind of formation he's going to come up with, but I want to see Adams playing and I want to see Forrest playing.
Yeah, I think the difference between Gilmour and Patterson is that they have both had limited game time, and they are both fearless, and by all accounts they're both brilliant players, and I do think they will be brilliant players for Scotland for years to come. But Gilmour's games have been against Liverpool and Arsenal and Champions League games, a few of those. Patterson's, he did play well in Europa League, he actually came on and scored, but it's been in Scotland, it's not the same. I think that there's been some suggestions as well that if you play Forrest against England, well, he's not a natural defender and Sterling will tear him to shreds, but Forrest has had more big game experience than Patterson. I would rather play Forrest in a right wing back, even if he's pinged back as a right back in a 5. I'd probably rather have Forrest at Wembley than Patterson.
Yep. Listen, apart from anything else, there was a couple other things, Roughie. You know, I think it was Glenn Hoddle that used to say, you know, not all long balls are just humps up the park. It's, you know, you can't have a long ball that's a pass. But to be honest with you, I was surprised, you know, how often we did go long. And I didn't. I thought it was the wrong move when you only had, as you said, one striker. I thought Adams should have played. We've had the debate over Forrest. We're going to talk about Billy Gilmour and Nathan Patterson shortly. But over and above that, it's obviously had a catastrophic effect on the mood of the nation. We're flat as a pancake unless somebody else is going to send us a message saying they're unbelievably optimistic about it all. But here's what Steve Clarke had to say about the players after the defeat.
Yeah, the players are fine. Players are good. Completely relaxed, know what they have to do. We said before we need to get the points required to get out of the group. We've still got a chance to do that. So I think rather than all the doom and gloom that followed the result, not the performance, the result should be put away, put to one side, and we just concentrate on the next game. Okay,
so the manager's saying, you know, everything's still at stake. We still know what we have to do. Forget about the result. He's happy with the performance overall. I think, you know, when he eventually sits down with his team, he might be critical of a few things. Overall, Roughie, and I'm getting a feel from everybody. I mean, Lindsay Buchanan says he won't pick a Rangers player. Lindsay, you know, more often than not, I'll read out points from you on a regular basis. I don't think Steve Clarke has anything against Rangers players at all. I think he's looking to, and the general feeling is, Lindsay, that he's looking towards the people that got him there. He was loyal to them. And in the end, they came a cropper with an absolute world-class strike. And again, here's my thoughts, Roughie. What about O'Donnell? I mean, if anything, I thought he was below standard. But I don't think he was as much to blame about stopping the cross as everybody's talking about, because he travelled from inside the box with a man marking to go to the left-hand side to try and close it down. This is a guy who's playing right wing-back.
Yeah, he was picking up somebody in the 18-yard box, and he was the one that noticed somebody had overlapped on the inside.
Yeah.
So being a defender, he's going to say, right, I'm going to go out there. People are saying, oh, you should have been out quicker. But if he'd have went out there and that ball came into the box and went to the man that he was marking, he'd have been in trouble. You know, at least he saw the danger, and then once it comes in, you're relying on your centre halves. I know it's a fantastic header,
Yeah.
but you're relying. If you ask any coaches and that, don't make it easy for a centre forward. Don't make it easy for him to get up and think. Maybe push him, pull him, do anything to him. The two centre halves just seem to get in each other's roads.
He got in between Cooper and Hanley, and that was the only time that Hanley had a bad thing he did all day. I thought Hanley was really good, probably the best player.
I was surprised the first half. I thought, I didn't think he had that ability.
There was what point
that pace.
He burnt a player with pace.
Yeah, I didn't think he was comfortable on the ball.
I wasn't that. I know we were down at Wembley when we get cuffed 3-0, Roughie, and I wasn't that enamoured with him. I thought he was. I thought he was slow at marking. I thought we were caught out for cross balls, but I thought he impressed me. You're right, Gabs. I like this one from Brian Haig, who says, "Let's just go all out, attack." It's now or never. We need to take the game to them in the rest of the games. Brian, the minute I read that message there on Facebook, it brought back memories, Roughie, because me, Davy Moyes, Kenny, his brother, and another mate of ours, Neil Semple, we were all in the Luigi Ferrari Stadium in Genoa. And that was the cry. We're all in the Scotland end. We've got our Scotland tops on and we're all going attack. Then Sweden get the ball and we went defend. So I think that's what it's going to be like.
But if you go into the game and think that they're not vulnerable and you do sit back, you know they've got players that can hurt you. So you've got to go out with the mindset that you have players in your team who are going to. I think the last time we went there, maybe the midweek game, did we get beat 3-2 or something like that? When we
at Wembley.
At Wembley, it was a night game.
The last time at Wembley, I think we lost.
McLean not score. I don't know why the game was on. It wasn't a qualifier or anything.
A friendly.
Yeah, it was a friendly.
Yeah. And we did do a wee bit of attacking that. I think if you go into it with the thought, oh God, we're never going to break them, I think you
if we're going to get anything, we're going to need to score because we'll concede at least one.
Yeah, but the problem here, Roughie, is when you're talking there about mindset. When the Scotland players went down in the 70s and up until about the mid 80s, maybe at the edge of the 90s, they went down there with confidence because there was a lot of great technical players. I mean, I actually got into the game at Euro 96. If I'm being honest with you, in that Wembley Stadium, and I looked at the team we'd put out and I thought, we could win this because there was a real confidence. Only when we started to get to the end of the 90s when I think there's a whole plethora of reasons why our game went on a downward spiral. But I think there's enough big game players with a big game mentality that will go down there and think, right, we'll have a go. But there's still 3 or 4 Gabs that I think are thinking, oh, Wembley, oh, England, and maybe don't have the mindset of an Andy Robertson. Billy Gilmour's not going to be fazed by it at all. That's a stonewall certainty.
Yeah, Tierney coming back would be massive because he has that fearless mentality. He's played for Celtic, won every trophy when he was there. Now at Arsenal, he's the leader. I watch Arsenal every week. He's the leader on the park just by the way he talks, the way he attacks. And we need him back in. He did train today, so that's positive news. If you go with Tierney, do you think that can make a big enough difference? Can he galvanise? Can he have that effect if you go Tierney and Gilmour? When I have Gilmour in that team, it reminds me, obviously I wasn't there, but almost of when Gascoigne played at Italia 90, because he was so young, he almost rejuvenated the whole team, and they were so inspired by him. And I'm not saying Gilmour's as good as Gascoigne or is going to destroy England like Gascoigne did at Italia 90, but perhaps he can have a galvanising effect if you've got a 19-year-old boy saying, give me the ball, back to goal, I'll spin someone, play it forward. That can lift everyone's game. I just think he has to go with Gilmour, and if Tierney is half fit, he's got to play.
Yeah, listen, everybody's got an opinion on it. We're getting them all here. Kevin McManus says Marshall just made a mistake. He's a top keeper, but we have 3 keepers to choose from. Gordon says, Billy Gilmour must play. He must start, says Gordon McFadgen. There's lots of opinions on Billy Gilmour. Before we get to the England thing in detail, because the build-up's going to be incredible, Roughie. Here's the table. Not great for us to see it right away. I actually thought we'd have a point at least. I mean, that's just gut-wrenching to see Scotland at the bottom. And you know, it may well be, you know, you need 0 goal difference, Roughie, at the end of the whole campaign to have a chance of being one of those third-place teams.
Well, I think after the next set of games, you've got a better chance of what you're going to have to do. You know, after the England game, you're going to know, is it going to be goal difference? But unfortunately, if you look at Scotland's track record with goal difference, it never seems to pan it.
For the benefit of yourself, Gabs, this stretches back to 1974. I mean, I remember the 1-1 draw against Yugoslavia. Yeah. We left the World Cup without losing a game.
Right,
you know?
And Billy Bremner's shot that just
no,
by the
we
post.
beat Zaire 2-0. We had 0-0 against Brazil, and Billy Bremner's shot that he's talking about just missed the post. We should have beaten Brazil. I mean, we had a great team in '74, and then we drew 1-1 with a Yugoslavia side. Now, Yugoslavia was not in a conflict. There were Croatia, Serbia in there. I mean, what a team they had. And it was actually the Yugoslavian National Army team, because they all played together. It was incredible.
So, goal difference, we don't want it to go down to goal, not a goal difference, because it'd be
exactly.
a goal or something like that. But,
78 was the same, by the way. Archie Gemmill puts the ball in. We only need one more goal, and then Roughie lets Johnny Rep beat him from 30 yards.
Just the Johnny Rep.
Put the record straight here. We're sitting here hoping that Scotland can get 3 points to qualify. In every World Cup competition I was in, we had 4 points and never qualified. So 3 points makes it easier for you. It's the easiest option ever. Has been put in front of us. The nation's stuff, the penalty kicks. Yeah. We've been put in a section that 3 points can qualify.
And 2 games.
It's going to be a disaster if we don't.
Yeah, well, listen, Mark Jennings is painting maybe just a picture of optimism for us. He said, remember when we battered them at Wembley 1-0 years ago with a Don Hutchison goal, we can win again. Listen, it's not beyond that. I'm not dismissing it. I'm just looking at the probability on it is slim. Hugh Scott says, Peter, we can go to Wembley and get a point and then beat Croatia. Why the panic? Yeah, and Hugh obviously tongue-in-cheek there, having a little laugh about it. But, I mean, Norman saying Scotland have missed Griffiths big time with his free kicks as well. Everybody, obviously, we're all doing it from the position of hindsight now, looking at such a, you know, in the end, was it a poor performance, Roughie? Because I thought we played some good football in spells.
Yeah, I thought so. So I thought the first half, both teams cancelled each other out. I think we had 2 chances with Dykes and Robertson. I think they had 2 probably as well, but they scored one of theirs in the first half. The second half opened up a bit, and I think it opened up because these kind of teams, when they go 2-0 up, they go, game finished. We're just going to get everybody on the ball. You come and hit us with your best shot, and if you beat us, you beat us. But we didn't have our best shot. They just said, well, let us come. They sat off us and let them come, and then we started like just picking the ball off them and then hitting them in the break. Yeah. They knew they weren't going to lose. They weren't going to lose 3 goals. And I get where the manager's saying, if you sit back and look at the chances, if we'd stuck them away, I would guess if you're in the Czech Republic dressing room, you're going to be saying, see, if we took the chances away we had, that could have been 4 or 5. You know, because David Marshall had 3 or 4 magnificent saves. So it swings and roundabouts. Putting the ball in the back of the net is what it's all about. And they had the player that had the ability to 2 fantastic goals.
Yeah, Alec Kelly makes a great point. And I agree with you, Alec. I have been highly critical of Lee Griffiths. Griffiths not being there, he only has himself to blame. Alec, you're 100% correct. I think to see him sitting in the stand with his jacket on yesterday was just galling. I mean, that is a player who's wasted his talent and the ability to play at the highest level at a major tournament. To say you've played it, and he's only 30, you know, but he wasn't there. We had to get on with it, but we had options there that I thought could have made a difference. Now, going into this game, Steve Clarke is adamant that the boys are picked up. Gabriel, the good news is, you know, today, and many of us will have seen the pictures of Kieran Tierney training. Yeah, you've got to ask yourself, how bad was this knock for him not to play in a European Championships game? You know, it'd be one of the biggest games of his career, if not the biggest game. Obviously, the England game's going to be bigger, and I just think perhaps
they'll have looked at it and said, we don't want to risk it, we want to keep you for the England-Croatia games that are a little bit tough. We've got Liam Cooper who can play there, we can win this one. And now they're looking back at it and saying, maybe we should have risked it, maybe we should have played him. Would it have made a big enough difference? The thing is with Tierney is that he'll take the ball out of defence. Because when we were saying that we didn't have McGregor or a Gilmore to pick it up, we need one of the back three to step out with it. None of them wanted to do it, which is why we ended up going long. Tierney coming back, I think he will play. He was running. It wasn't just a soft train session. He was running, he was smiling. I've seen all the footage earlier. So I do think he'll come into that back three. The question is then, does he stick with Hendry as well? He was criticised quite a bit for his role in the second goal. I don't think he was too much to blame. He had a pop from 30 yards. He hit the bar 5 minutes earlier, and he scored against the Netherlands as well. So I guess why not? The question is, do you go Hanley as the right-sided defender and keep him in the middle? But we've got to try and stay positive. Steve Clarke's right. We've got to try and stay positive. We're here for the first time in 23 years. We've got to enjoy the England game. Let's try and stay positive. So that's all I can say. 0-0, I'd take it right now.
Yeah, good luck with
that. Don't even. I've got to go and watch them again on Friday.
Yeah, listen, there's many a person would love to get on that train with you, Gabriel, believe me. I've picked what I think will be the preferred 11. And by the way, more often than not, I try not to respond to some erratic posts that we do get from time to time. But our observation of Lee Griffiths has got nothing to do with his mental health. Our observation of Lee Griffiths is something that Neil Lennon has already commented on, which is a professional footballer who came back overweight. And he was back on track. He was playing well with Edouard, and he just showed a lack of professionalism. And at the end of the day, couldn't get himself fit enough to play 90 minutes for Celtic in the last 5 or 6 games of the season. So, and that's why Steve Clarke probably just looked and thought, no, I can't take the chance with him. I can't tell a fully fit person who's been the ultimate professional that he's not going with the squad and then pick this guy. I think it would have sent out the wrong message.
Yeah, and the Scotland manager's no daft. He'll have been on the phone to Celtic and saying, look, I see you've got a situation with Griffiths, he's only playing 15, 20 minutes. What's the problem?
Yeah.
And they would be honest enough and say, look, the boy's maybe picking up calf injuries here and there and he's not working hard enough to get himself fit. And they would tell the Scotland manager that. There'd be no point in hiding or telling wee porky pies about why he's not playing 90 minutes. And you cannot take a chance on a player who's only going to give you 15 minutes in a game. And you're right, we all know Lee Griffiths is a wonderful player, probably our best goal scorer for a long, long time. I hope this is a wake-up call for him. Yeah. For him sitting in that stand, watching what's happening, and he could have been there. It might just be the kick up the backside he needs to get his act together.
Roughie, we're not talking about Lee Griffiths who scored 25 goals for Scotland. We're talking about he scored 2 free kicks. So on the point where we're talking about with Tierney, Gams has obviously mentioned there that Tierney has been training, which is great. Obviously, we all, as Tartan Army, members of the Tartan Army and Scotland fans, want to see him play. I'd still play him if he's 90% fit. I think we need him in there. We need an option. I think what we do need as an option is the ability to give England a problem on either position. And if Tierney brings the ball out, he can overlap, and Andy Robertson can overlap. There's no doubt Gareth Southgate, Roughie, will be saying to the England players, look, they are good down the left-hand side. We've got to thwart that. Then he's got to think to himself, I've got a back line that maybe doesn't have Harry Maguire, so I've got to think if he plays with 2 Adams and Dykes, we're going to have to watch them. But this is why, in this preferred 11 that I've picked, Forrest, because I think they also need to think, oh, wait a minute, we've got a problem because this boy Forrest can run at them. And that's why I think he needs to have options. And I think Billy Gilmour now is one of those situations where it would change the way the midfield plays for me, because he likes to go forward, he likes to drive himself, Roughie, and he also likes to play forward passes, and that's why I've put him in there. I think get him in. Thomas Tuchel maybe not played him as much as he should have, but I think he's worth throwing it in there.
Yeah, if we're going to listen to everybody that keeps telling them as the player he is, and the people that keep telling them as the people who are working with him, the people that are seeing them week in, week out, the international players that he's playing with, this is the time. There's no time like the present. If the boy is that good, and I know he's got years in front of him, let's see how good he is. He might be the difference. He might be that guy who dictates the game, you know, and that might be just the missing link that we're looking for.
Yeah, you mentioned yesterday, Gabs, you know, ahead of the game that McTominay is the type of boy that, you know, wraps the ball into people. You've got to have a good first touch to actually kill it as well. But you know, he fires the ball in there. He goes forward. I think we need to see something of that from McTominay. I don't think he was as dominant as we would have liked yesterday. But Gilmour would change the structure of the midfield because of the way he plays, and he would change the style of it. I like McGregor, but I think he's in some games. If you're asking Callum McGregor to be the man that breaks the channels, hits a ball that splits 3 or 4 players, you're not going to get it. I think Gilmour's got more of that to offer.
Yeah, I was in the stadium after I left you boys on the call, about 45 minutes before kick-off, just watching them warm up, and he was knocking it with Patterson, 60 yards with his left foot, his weak foot, just knocking it. And we were all standing next to each other saying, get him playing, because he's special, and I do think that he'll be in the centre of that team for a decade or more. With regards to your team, I would play that, but I think Gilmour is the one that Clark won't go with because he didn't bring him on yesterday, and it was crying out for him. I thought he brought McGregor on instead. He trusts McGregor more than him. I'm so surprised he didn't start McGregor himself. I would love to see Gilmour. I think most people would, but we know that Clark likes to be quite conservative with his initial selection. Maybe we could see Gilmour at half-time or in the second half. I don't think right now that he will start with him, but I certainly would, because he has that ability to just spin the defender. He'll take it under pressure, like McGregor perhaps wouldn't. He would just bounce it straight back. He'll try and spin, and it allows McGinn to support the front two, and McTominay to be that more box-to-box player that he is at United, smack it into the striker's feet and trying to get into the box and score goals.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's a big debate. I mean, there's a lot of people on here, and some of them might be Rangers fans, some of them might not be. Some of them are just looking at Nathan Patterson for what he's offered in the last quarter of the season. They've been excited by the young boy. But here's my argument, Roughie, and I stand by this, although a lot of people have said, you know, throw Patterson in, it's his natural position. I just think it's too big a step up. I think the difference is as well, this is the other problem we have, Roughie, and I think there's a bit of, we're all guilty of it at times, delusions of grandeur at the level of Scottish football. Nathan Patterson's playing in a Rangers side, played well, looked good, 7 or 8 games for Rangers. Billy Gilmour's played for Chelsea under Frank Lampard, picked with Thomas Tuchel at a standard that's way above Scottish football. And then you're going to international football, which some people say nowadays, you know, European Championships and World Cups are the equivalent of the Champions League because of the level of footballer you've got playing. But I think it's too big a game to throw Patterson in. And some people say, well, it's too big a game to throw Gilmour in, but I think Gilmour's had more experience of playing against really, really good players.
The Scotland manager will have decided whether Patterson's up for it or not. He's had him for a fortnight. Yeah. We've heard about everything he's done with Rangers. We've heard everybody for Rangers saying he's this and he's that. He'll have witnessed them for a fortnight. They'll be playing bounce games. He'll be in there with the teams, you know, for first team versus second team. He'll be watching them. He will decide whether this boy has got it or not got it. We're mixing with the players in the Scotland squad. Yeah. So if he thinks that he's got it and it now is the time, then I would play him as well. I know what you're saying, it's too big a game to throw him into, but some young kids that have a different mentality for other kids, they believe that they should be there. Yeah. So it's a call for the manager who's been working with him for 14 days to say, look, everything everybody is saying about this boy, I can see it with my own eyes. I'm going to play him. Yeah. But in saying that, he should have played him yesterday then. Why did he not play him yesterday?
Yeah. Well, because he's loyal to Stephen O'Donnell. I mean, that, and to be fair, I think Stephen O'Donnell at times can be an easy target for people. They're desperate to criticise him. And when Patterson came on the scene, there was a real clamour to get rid of O'Donnell. I didn't think Stephen O'Donnell was up to it yesterday. I thought he was off the pace. And at times, you know, his performance was you know, below par. Let's put it that way. And I'm going to be fair to the boy. I think there's got to be a change there. People are clamouring for Patterson. William says, why call him up then? William, it wouldn't be the first time a Scotland manager's brought in young players to give them that vast experience of being at a major tournament around players and then realising the level you're at and what you've got to try and strive to achieve in domestic football. The one thing I would say is, James Forrest has played Champions League football regularly. When he was not in the Celtic side last season, they missed him. He can score goals, he can create, and he can cause England problems down that flank. So I think he's going to be more of a threat than Patterson. And it's nothing about club, it's just looking at players and saying, I think he'll be more of a threat, Gabriel.
Yeah, I think he will be more of a threat. As I've said, I would play Forrest. Patterson, why do you include him? People say that. Well, even if he doesn't play, he's going to be in the squad for the next 10 years. He's integrated into the squad. He's getting to know everyone. Clark gets a good look at him. And it'll be great for the lad to be a European Championship for Scotland. For the first ever time he's played with them, he's at the European Championships. I wouldn't play him. I thought O'Donnell, defensively, I don't think O'Donnell was necessarily poor defensively yesterday. It's his attacking game. As you were saying, the Czechs had the problem down the left. At half-time, they said, well, stop that and just push it right. And that's what they did. Just let them have it right. And as soon as Robertson get it, they're on them and they're on him. But when O'Donnell gets it, they say, let O'Donnell have it. Give him 5 yards space. And he's not confident enough to say, I'll beat my man, I'll whip it round here. It was more, right, I'll just turn back and I'll give it back to Hendry, gives it back to Cooper, back to Hanley. And it's just that's where the problem is, attacking-wise for O'Donnell. Not defensively. He's sound enough defensively, and he was yesterday. But as we said, we're going to need to score because we're probably going to concede. We need to win these games.
You've got to set England problems as well.
Exactly.
England are 4-3-3. The 4-3-3, everybody knows 4-3-3. If you play a Forrest out there for the halfway line, somebody's got to go out there and pick them up. So you've got to give them that first dilemma is, right, who in that midfield is going to push you? If he's tearing down that wing and taking on people, somebody's got to go and pick him up.
The other thing is that England played Trippier left back. He's right-footed. He won't want to be going outside on his left if Forrest is beating him on the outside. So I think there is a weakness there. Whether they change that to Shaw Chilwell, we'll have to wait and see. But if he goes with Trippier, I'd fancy Forrest to go on the outside of him and get him behind him, get balls in the box, because there wasn't enough of that yesterday. I
think we need to change the style of the way we play. I think that's why I would throw Gilmour in. I've always liked midfielders, Roughie, who actually think first thing in their head is, I'll lift it up, I can see the play, I'm going to try and make a forward pass. You know, I think this whole square ball game going back, I find it infuriating. There is a need in the 21st century, I get it. Let's keep the ball. Absolutely, that's a priority in modern day football. But I think when you have players who can hurt, and we need options left side, middle and right to cause England any sort of problem. And by the way, Roughie, let's be honest about it. I mean, apart from people who are being unbelievably optimistic about it, we're not going to have the majority of possession.
No, and that's something the manager will have to work on, with possession, without possession. I mean, you saw the Czech Republic when they were 2-0 up. As soon as they lost possession, everybody was behind the ball. Centre forwards, two centre forwards were behind the ball, and that's what you work in day to day in training. And you've got to have a plan A and a plan B, and that's what we'll have to do. Because you're right, you know, we are going to be under the cosh. We've just played a team who aren't going to get anywhere near in this competition, and they've beat us 2-0. And now we're going to play a team that everybody thinks can win this competition. So it's a bit. Some people think they're going to win it. Some people think they're going to win it.
Most of the because we live in a unique situation in the UK where we're dominated by London-based television, the sensible people in Scotland can sift through what I call the hype around an England side that, for me, I mean, I think they've got one world-class player. Yeah. I think you need to have 2 or 3 world-class players to win a tournament. I think they've got one. Yeah. And I use Harry Kane in that category. The boy Foden is going to be world-class. I mean, I just think he's absolutely magnificent. He's going to be world-class, but he's not there yet, and he's not at the point where he's going to grab a game and change it. I think, for me, I can't see anybody stopping France winning this tournament. But by the same token, I mean, I've got George Logan says, I don't think scoring will be Scotland's problem on Friday. I think stopping England scoring is more important. George, it's a great point you make with regards to this, as far as, coming up against England, we're not going to have the majority of the possession. We're going to have to make sure we keep it tight. You need a wee bit of luck. I think, listen, if we scored first, Cabs, they'd have to scrape you off the ceiling. It would be magnificent.
Oh, I know. I don't even want to think about it again.
Are the Scottish supporters been allowed in?
Yeah,
well,
Cabs.
It's me. Yeah. Let in because the accent.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's 22,000 down at Wembley, so again, it's around quarter capacity, but almost double there were yesterday. I'm not too sure how it's going to work because obviously there's been a small section given to the SFA Supporters Club, but the tickets that I have and a lot of people I know have are just in the general sale. So I don't know if it's going to be mixed in there with England and Scotland fans, which I don't think will go down too well. You know what England and Scotland fans can be like when they're together if it's mixed. So we'll have to wait and see what happens when we get there. But Steve Clarke's game plans, we saw at Kilmarnock and so often with Scotland, benefit so much when they go 1 goal up. I think if we are going to win, I'll say I don't think we are, but if we are going to win, we will have to score first. We're not going to concede one and come back and score two like Griffiths did at Hampden with those 2 free kicks, even though we then conceded. If we are going to win or even draw, I think we need to score first, and that's why you play the likes of Gilmore and Forrest, get on the front foot if we can get a goal, backs to the wall. Yeah,
if we win the game, Gabs, then I would like to just offer a note of caution to you. The posts are tougher now to try and get out of the position. You can't jimmy it out quickly and then take the nets down quickly, Roughie. You've got to take your time.
As I was telling you, I was doing a wee bit of PR this morning, and I took some photos along with me, particularly what you're showing. I'll show you them later on.
Yeah.
They're absolutely fantastic photographs. Yeah, the supporters on the goalposts, and I actually didn't realise. I saw a clip the other night. I didn't realise there was so many supporters on the park.
Yeah, this is 1977.
On the park.
77 Gabs.
On the park. And photographs, as you say there, I don't know how many Scottish supporters are going down. I've got a photograph of behind one of the goals. Yep. There must be 20,000 Scottish supporters. And there is not an English flag in this photograph. Yeah. Trust me.
Yeah,
so they'll be there.
Yeah. With all due respect, Roughie, Scotland have won the match, and I don't know any English supporter who thinks, I think it might be a good idea to join them on the park. But nevertheless,
if Scotland win that game, don't expect me to be back in Glasgow for the Croatia game on Tuesday.
Yeah, I expect you to get married down there. Simple as that. If we win, I mean, do you feel confident? I mean, give us your view on it. There are some who obviously are confident about it. I know Alan Moffat just keeps mentioning, can we talk about the SPFL fixtures? But it is a Euro 2020 special, Alan. We're talking about the European Championships. We will be back. After we have a wee holiday, Roughie, surely we've got to be allowed a wee holiday.
Where are you planning on going?
Motherwell. I'll get the bus down. But nevertheless, we will, Alan, pay heed to the Premiership and all the fixtures when we come back. We'll be back on the 26th of July, exclusively on YouTube. Look forward to that. Hopefully you'll get subscribing. And incidentally, if you do get the chance, folks, download the PLZ Soccer app and you can actually record a message about how you think Scotland are playing, how you think your club are playing when the season starts, and we will feature you on the show. So on the app, not only do you get all the latest news, but you also get the chance to actually take part in the show by recording a video. It'll drop into our server and we'll use the best of them on the programme, so you can do that as well. And also right now, as Gabs has been promoting all this week, we've got the Euro 2020 Stock Exchange game. It's a great chance for you to take part, win some cash prizes on our Facebook page, PLZ Soccer, right at the top. You can take part in it, click on the link, and you can win cash prizes. It doesn't cost you anything. It's absolutely free to play. It's a bit of fun on the old stock market. You can pick your favourite country, and if they win ahead of the expectation of their stock price, you could win yourself some prizes at the end of each stage. And Ronnie Chapman says you're going to be on Facebook as well. Ronnie, next season we're going to move exclusively to YouTube, and we'll give as many videos as we can put out, explaining how easy it is on your television to download the YouTube app, how you can get it on the app as well. If you download it on your phone, you'll be able to get it. You can project it onto your telly. You can actually, if you've got Sky, go down to apps, and YouTube is there. So I think, Roughie, next season we're really excited about the team we've got together, and looking forward to a really big season.
Yeah, I think everybody's excited. Obviously the big teams will all be hoping they can change things, reverse of what happened last year, but I think everybody else, and as far as supporters are concerned, they're all anxiously waiting to see who the new signings are and who's coming in and who's not coming in, and I think that's the important thing about it, you know, what kind of players you bring into your club, and the more and more it goes on, the more exciting it'll get.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for all the messages coming in. It's not as bad as it seems at the moment. Maybe we're on a downer. Maybe it's just too raw at the moment, Gabs. I mean, you must have walked out of that stadium after all the press conferences were gone and thought,
oh, it was raw yesterday evening, especially as I'd booked 2 different beer gardens with a few of my mates to celebrate, because this is the one game that we were going to win, and most of them had taken yesterday and today off work, and it was only a few commiseration beers that we had instead of celebratory Prosecco or whatever it would be. So yeah, nothing too silly yesterday, you know, perhaps that's that's what we drink these days. What are you laughing at?
your mates drink Prosecco.
Got into me champagne.
You need to.
What are you drinking? Champagne,
yeah,
fancy.
I could just Prosecco. By the way, what are you two on about? I don't know about you, but we had beer. My God, the whole world's changed. Who goes and drinks Prosecco and champagne? Maybe I just come from a working class background, folks. John Aird, I think, has got a brilliant message. He says, heading back into London on the train in 77, the crossbar and some of the nets were in the train carriage, which is magnificent, Robbie. I know we don't condone vandalism, but it was funny.
I have to hold my hand up that I do have a piece of turf in
Do you?
the house. Yes.
Is that right?
I was presented to it by a supporter, and it's in a wee glass cage.
Oh, that's
Might
magnificent.
bring it
Robbie.
in for the show.
That would
Good
be
luck on
great.
Friday.
Yeah, bring it in for good luck.
Good luck on
We
Friday.
might only lose by 2. Thanks for all the messages from everybody talking about it. I'm really looking forward to the game on Friday. Let's hope it's not all doom and gloom. Give us your predictions. Incidentally, quite a few people just telling us who they think will win. I spotted one there. I'm just trying to get back and see who it was that suggested that they think Belgium will win. I don't know if... I mean, Belgium got a chance. Portugal tonight, I'm looking forward to. I think France are going to win it.
France is the team to beat. If you beat France, you will win the tournament. That's been the case since 2010. Whoever's beaten them has gone on to win it. And the only team that can beat France, as the French media have been saying, is France. Whether Mbappe and Griezmann argue over who's going to take the penalty. Belgium, I think it's maybe a year or 2 past their peak. You've got those older centre-halves now, Alderweireld and Vertonghen, no company. But for me, I've got to say Italy. You know what I'm like?
Yeah.
Half Italian. I thought we looked really good on Friday.
Roughie, I'm desperate to tell. I'm going to read this out first. Peter Shaw agrees with you, Gabs. He says Italy looked excellent, so he agrees with you. And Niall says, I have a feeling Italy will be the dark horses in this. Chris Andrews says 5-0 to England. Get your bets on. Well done, Chris. You know how to alienate the audience. But
I fancy. I was impressed with Italy.
Yeah.
The midfield and the strikers.
Yeah. Passed over.
So I think if Italy do win it, let's go out and have a wee prosecco.
yeah,
On me.
Yeah, phone me. Tell me what happens. Take photographs. Hugh Scott says, Peter, it'll be France, Belgium, or Italy for me.
Just all the favourites then.
Hugh's hedging his bets on those 3. I don't think it'll be England, and it's not an anti-English situation, because that's one thing we're not guilty of on this programme. It's basically because I don't think they've got enough of the key players in the big games that will change it for me. I think France have got them. I think I'm delighted he's brought Benzema back, because I think he's absolutely top drawer. But when you look at their team, they've got players all over the park that can kill teams off, and I think that's the one thing about it. I don't think Germany are going to be anywhere near it either. Hungary against Portugal, that's the first one at 5 o'clock. Roughie, how do you see that one going?
Portugal.
Yeah.
I think Portugal, because of one man in particular who usually grabs these competitions with the scruff of the neck.
Pepe?
So, Fernandes.
By the way, Roughie, is he the world's greatest player?
Modern day player, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he's better than Messi now.
I think he's taken over for Messi just.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Messi needs to be at these tournaments. Of course, he can't be because it's Europe. But he needs to be the next World Cup.
Yeah.
He needs to do something.
I just feel like
At the World Cup.
Yeah, depending on what Ronaldo does in this one.
Do you not just feel that Ronaldo could play in? He could play in any team. I feel like you could play with Ronaldo, whereas Messi has to play in a certain style, and Ronaldo can almost drag teams. That Portugal team that won the Euros, they weren't very good.
Yeah.
It wasn't a very good team. They're better now, by the way. A lot better now.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you right now, can't see in past Portugal. The best game for me tonight, 8 o'clock. If anybody phones me at 8 o'clock, I'm not picking up the phone. France against Germany. And the only thing I can think of, and you weren't born, Gabs, but I know a lot of the people who watch the programme, France against Germany, the only thing I can think of is France are 3-1 up, Gires, Tigana, Dominique Rocheteau, Didier Sis. They were pounding forward. They're 3-1 up, Roughie. Just shut up shop and put the West German side out of the World Cup. But what do? They keep steaming on forward. Germany come back, score, equalise, and then win the penalty shootout.
Yeah, I don't think it would have happened in modern day. I think they'd be more organised, they'd be more disciplined in what they're doing. But when you've got players of that calibre, they just can't help going forward, can they? They just can't defend.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a great game. France against Germany. France to beat Germany. Just before we go, I think it's pertinent to mention something which, again, I think caught everybody in the hop. I certainly shed a tear. It's one of the most emotional games I've watched with Finland and Denmark, and the aftermath of this European Championships. There's nothing more important than life, and to see the pictures emerge over the last 24 hours of a smiling Christian Eriksen Gabriel is a joy for everybody, because, you know, to a man and woman, that whole picture unfolding of his predicament, receiving CPR, I think everybody was touched by it, and they just are willing Christian Eriksen to get back to full health.
Yeah, I know. It was honestly horrible to see. It's not what obviously nobody wants that. It's fantastic that he says he's doing fine given the situation. Obviously, you hope first that he'll get better and be able to play again, because that's what he wants to do. He's a footballer, fantastic footballer. He said the focus is now on Denmark. You'll hope that the Danes can do him justice. They're obviously missing their star player, but they'll be playing all their games in Copenhagen, and I'm sure they'll have a fitting tribute to him. But as well, you hope they almost raise awareness. I saw a few cardiologists speaking, saying that it was fantastic they saved the life, and it was because the equipment is so near. But that happens in plenty of sports across the world, every single sport filtering down where there isn't enough safety equipment near, and there is a loss of life because it's not there. It's only the elite level of sport. So hopefully that raises awareness, and perhaps it can be reviewed, or why this is happening, or do we also, in big pitches all over the country, we need to have something close by so that things like that don't happen at amateur or junior level as well. But yeah, the pictures today were just fantastic to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Roughie, he's a star man. I wouldn't even like to speculate on whether he's going to play again. I don't know. All I hope is that he's got a long, long life ahead of him, and that's once they go through the whole prognosis of what happened. And then how we get Christian Eriksen back to a position where he can enjoy his family for many years to come.
I think that was the most important thing that came out when it actually happened. Everybody on the television, everybody was talking about it, wasn't talking about football. They were just talking about the personal side of it, you know, his family and his kids, and to see his wife's trackside, you know, and whatever was happening to him away over the other side must have been horrendous. But it was the reaction for the opposition players, who probably don't know him. They were in tears,
yeah,
you know, because that was the reality of it was a person. It wasn't just a footballer, you know, and that's the thing that came through to everybody.
Yep. Well, as we mentioned on this programme on more than a few occasions, thankfully the people who post their messages, 99% of our football fans who follow us on PLZ Soccer, love the game, love their teams, love their country, and obviously want to talk about football in a positive way. And thank you to so many people who've mentioned Christian Eriksen and how they wish him well, and he does indeed have a full recovery. So thank you for all those lovely messages, and we've given you our opinion on yesterday's dismal day. I've never been so high and then flat as a pancake, sitting next to my wife Roughie, and the two of us just looking at each other, and it was Just misery.
You've just been following Scotland for the last year.
Honestly. And the funny thing is, I said, I think, before I said we can win 1-0, she says, no, we're going to get pumped. That's what she said to me, and I thought, oh, why can't you be so positive? But, obviously, and I've witnessed you in your pump playing in goal for Scotland and made some great results, but just wasn't to be. Are we still alive in this group? Is there going to be a miracle? Who knows? Lots of people are talking about the possibility of defeating England on Friday. We will continue the build-up. We'll hear from the players. We'll hear, no doubt, from the captain, Andy Robertson. We're definitely going to hear more from Steve Clarke on tomorrow's show, if you can join us for that. We will hear from Gabs, because he'll be getting on a train and heading down to London.
We drink on the way.
Lucky so-and-so. We were there, Roughie. It was great, wasn't it? Oh, fantastic.
Didn't have Prosecco when we were there.
No, we were absolutely hammered on, I think, beer. But nevertheless, drink responsibly if you are lucky enough to get a ticket for it. Gabs will be down there bringing us all the colour and the interviews down there at Wembley in the build-up to Friday as well. We're on all week. Hopefully you can join us tomorrow at 4 o'clock on the show on Facebook, on Twitter, and of course on YouTube as well. So from Gabs, Roughie and myself, Peter Martin, join us tomorrow if you can. Thank you for watching.